Order the Village Council regular meeting, August 9th, 2018 at 6:30. First up, we have, do we have to call for quorum, or do I just, do we do that typically? I don't see it here, but it's formalities.
No, we,
Okay.
I mean, you can as a formality.
Everyone's here, which is great. So, first up, I have adoption of the agenda. Do you have any additions, changes, moving things around that we have?
I would like to pull under unfinished business B. Sorry to do this again, and I know we got the recordings, and I know that there were some things that I added, but I have been out of town, so I didn't see the revisions that Barbie had done, so I'd like to pull those.
Pull, what are we pulling?
B. The December
Unfinished.
12th.
The unfinished?
Yeah. I just haven't had a chance to revise,
Okay.
look at the revisions that we worked on.
So we're gonna table it till next meeting,
That would be
Yeah.
fantastic if possible.
8:30?
Yeah. And then I have not had a chance to read all of the supporting materials for new business, H, I, and J. I was out of town.
So we're gonna pull that?
I'd like to.
Okay.
I'm sorry, which ones were those?
H, I, and J. And then if we can, just move L under new business to the consent agenda.
This H, I, and J.
No, that's under H, I, and J of which new business?
The new business.
Under new.
So discussion, consideration of attorney-client privilege, current legal services, fair legal representation for citizens and members of council. I, discussion and consideration of a transparent and formal village bid policy. And J, discussion and consideration of conflict of interest. These are all good topics, and you want to table it?
Yes.
I didn't know Jim still got to wait for 5 days.
These were your items.
The only question I have about that is that I know that I added those last week, and I know since then on Tuesday there was a number of items, 8 in fact, 8 additional items added. 6 of them were actually added in front of my agenda items, so I just want to be sure that I understand how it is that things get prioritized. And if there's a method or if it's just...
There was a lot of information with those 3 things, and the other stuff that was added, there wasn't as much, so I just haven't, I've been out of town, I haven't had a chance to look at them.
Okay, so just the next time we can expect those to be on my agenda? Okay.
But to her point, I got the new package yesterday. I think you guys added the items 2 days ago. Those are all staying, and the items she put on. You know, I'd really like to talk about them tonight. It's important items. It's attorney-client privilege, transparency, and conflict of interest.
Right, I heard you. I saw that. I'm still not prepared to talk about them tonight.
Do we need to take a vote on it?
We could probably do it at the end, but unless you want to do anything
Well,
item by item.
Let's do a vote for those 3 items.
Okay.
Just so I
Okay.
know where everyone stands.
Okay.
I say leave them.
Okay, so there's a motion on, do we need a formal
I'll make a
motion?
We need a
to
motion.
leave H, I, and J on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion, all's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, and I'll break the tie with the no, so those will be removed for this time.
I have a couple other changes when you're ready.
Well,
I just had a
hold on a
question.
second, hold on.
Hold-
Kim was,
one
Kim was
thing.
still
Oh,
at
sorry.
where she was, so we're gonna take turns here. Kim was still.
Are we okay with moving the L under new business to the consent agenda?
I like
That was
that.
on my list, actually, so that's good to know.
I'm glad you guys agree, but if we're gonna have something like Constitution week to talk about, we should talk about, I don't care about moving it. But I don't wanna just not talk about it.
It would be adopted with the consent agenda. And then talk about the fact that it's adopted.
Okay.
So we moving on to consent agenda?
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
I'm fine.
Okay. I had a couple of other things, just because the length of the meeting, I realized that it's long too.
Okay,
Am I okay to go? Just tell me when I'm ready.
yep.
Kim, are you finished?
Yeah,
Did you
because
move everything you wanted to move?
I've moved everything.
Okay.
We pull stuff from the consent agenda once we get there, correct?
Yeah,
That's a separate
yeah.
agenda?
Actually, technically you don't. Technically.
Technically, you do,
No, you
Ms.
don't.
Good, because it's a separate agenda.
No, you don't. It's not a separate agenda.
Yes.
It's supposed to be one motion to move the entire thing forward.
We'll make that decision when it comes to the consent agenda, so we can pull things in this way it doesn't confuse it. Anything else as far as the order of the agenda, or adding or subtracting?
I'm finished.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to read it out because I have to go through my list here. I was prepared to do the whole agenda.
Nick, if you want to go on Mary's reading, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No. Should go.
I'd like, this is a question. So we've got new business items, discussion and consideration of a resolution that's got our town attorney's name to it, but it wasn't our town attorney that suggested it, so I'm not sure why her name's on it. I thought we were putting items in order, with names next to them, to whomever put it on the agenda, which seems more appropriate. There's actually three items with the village attorney's name on it.
Mhm.
I'd just like to know who added it to the agenda. So first one, new business item A, discussion and consideration of a resolution amending village charter to change mayoral procedure.
Yeah, I've talked about that in the past with Nick, and we've talked about that, and I asked Melanie to write up a resolution, because I knew there was one that you can change the charter. So that's all I had her, we can discuss it, that's why it's on the discussion of new business. And we may vote on it tonight, but that was under what I did, given all the things that had happened and stuff, and the fact that we had discussed this in prior discussion numerous times, if I remember correctly, that it has come up and stuff, so.
What is it? It says mayoral procedure.
Did you read it?
I read it, I just like you to say it for the public. What
Well,
is it?
why don't we discuss it when we get
We'll
there?
get to it when we get to.
So where it says Melanie Cox, you were actually the one that put it on the agenda?
Yeah, but she'll be presenting it.
She's presenting it, okay.
Yes,
So
that's
I
just the
guess- I
presenter
thought
is
the
over here. It's a
presenter
little
was
bit
on the
different of
side.
a format, so what it is the discussion topic, and on the far right is the presenter, not necessarily the one who put it on the agenda.
And that's probably me doing that, because if there's anything that anyone had questions on, I just wanted them to direct the questions to that person, because they're the ones that know the most about it.
I just think if the mayor's gonna put something on the agenda that gives the mayor more power, then his name should be next to it. And that's the item I would like to see removed from the agenda.
Okay?
Do we need to vote on that?
Well, I don't know if you want me to, okay.
It's a discussion.
I was, at the very least, I was going to actually, that's the only thing on the regular agenda that I would like to amend.
Amend?
Yeah.
Well, we'll listen to your amendment.
Per Rule 12, it does say that items on the agenda need to be sufficiently worded to enable the public to understand what is being deliberated, voted on, or acted on. And I did read it a couple times over, and it is not really changed to mayoral procedure. Instead, it is allow the mayor to vote on all matters. So at the very least, if the item remains, I would like to be sure that the title is amended, so that the public is clear about.
So how
what
would
was
you like to
deliberated.
amend it to say what?
It should say, so instead of the words "to change mayoral procedure," those words should be replaced with "to allow the mayor to vote on all matters."
Which is a mayoral procedure.
No, it's not a procedure, it's
Right now, the procedure says I don't get the vote. So this is, it's the same.
I'm gonna say it again, it does say sufficiently worded to enable the public to understand what is being deliberated. Procedure could be anything under the sun, and yet you're asking for something very specific. And it is a charter amendment.
Yeah, but-
So in my estimation, you can vote however you want, but that, at the very least, should we all decide to keep it, I'd like to see the amended change.
We talk about transparency all the time, and I guess that's where I was headed. You just said it better, is if you're gonna throw it out there, Joe, to give yourself more power after your third term in office, just say it. And we'll talk about it. I don't have a problem talking about it.
No,
Just say it.
it's nothing to do with that, so it's all.
So can we amend it then? You're okay?
Well, you guys put it to a vote if you want to call for a motion. We'll see where it lands. I'm okay with how it's worded, though.
Ken, Nick, are you okay with being just a little bit more transparent with what we're doing here?
I mean, I think that we can talk about it and then the public's gonna know what we're talking about. So I'm
Because they
fine with
listen to
it.
the recordings? That's,
Or they
I
read
just
the
think it
minutes,
should be
sure.
on the agenda the way it's presented.
If there's no issue in discussing it, obviously there was, there's enough interest here on this council to discuss it, then nobody should be afraid to delineate
I don't
it.
have a problem with wording it out, putting it in words, it doesn't matter. It's on the agenda, we're gonna discuss it, so if it's.
So when we change the agenda, it'll reflect to say what would you like it to
So,
reflect to say?
so again, it would take just the words in the original to change mayor procedure, if you take those 4 words and take them out, and then replace them with to allow the mayor to vote on all matters, and then everything will make sense.
Okay. You want to make that a motion, and then we'll call it for a vote?
Sure, I can make that a motion if it's
Okay.
easier.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay, so then we'll change, reflect on the official agenda that goes out. Okay, anything else?
Well, just back to where my line of thought was, so the resolution relating to defense of village officers and employees, that's a resolution. Our attorney didn't put it on there. Who put it on? Who asked for this?
It was me. I did.
You're allowed to put agenda items on?
I'm allowed to suggest. I always assumed for the last 2 years that you guys had this because it's in your insurance policy. All my other clients have it, and when it was determined that you don't have it, I recommended that it be on the agenda.
You recommended to whom?
Christina.
This agenda is the first time I've seen it. So she brought it to your attention and you two decided to add it to the agenda?
I put it on there with her letting me know that she wanted it on there.
Was there a discussion with any other council members?
It's not unusual when statutes change, and y'all have to change your ordinance to comply with state statute, that I'll recommend items be put on the agenda.
This statute has been around for a while, though.
It has, and
We don't
I
have
thought
it
you all-
for, my
I was
understanding
told-
is we don't have it for our.
right, I was told originally you guys did have this policy, but when someone went to look for it, no one could find it.
Right.
Well, the reason it concerns me is because it leads up to the next item, discussion and consideration of hiring of outside legal counsel for Mary Scoot versus Village of Marvin, which, best I can tell, is just you three allowing the village residents to spend more money to fight her appointment to sit in this chair.
I think it was your action that caused this. It was your action, was your action that caused this whole debacle where we had to take legal action because what you did, in our view, was absolutely wrong. So it is on you and former Councilman Salameo. And so now we're going to have to, and it's probably too much for Mrs. Cox to take on. So we're going to be looking at an outside agent to kind of address her lawsuit against the village.
But you still haven't said why making a motion. I made a legal motion to appoint a village resident who not only has served as administrator.
All right,
We're not going to get into the court. Come on, we're not getting into that.
Well,
This
you
is
don't
not.
get to censor me.
No, but we're not going to get into the weeds of this.
You just made an accusation
I
that I made
actually
a wrong motion.
no.
You
no, I
can't
said
gavel
that-
me
No,
if
you
we're in
kinda do,
discussion.
actually. You do
We're-
No,
first.
I'm
what
trying
we're
to
saying
have
that this
professional
started,
discussion.
okay, this started because what you,
Because
so
I
what we,
made a legal
what we did,
motion.
yes, so we took action in discussing with our attorney, the village attorney, and as she looked into it and found out that what we don't have is what we're talking about in B, and then in C is talking about the workload that may be put upon her and that if she was able to take it. So that's why we're discussing outside counsel beyond her.
And we'll
Well-
discuss it when we get there.
So,
Like,
to your point, we can discuss it when we get there, but I'd like to add an agenda item to discuss what Joe just said, that I made an inappropriate motion, and I'd like to put it before we spend money to fight what you're calling an inappropriate. You're saying that putting her on council was wrong, you haven't stated why, and
And they've removed every other agenda item.
you've removed every other agenda item that would have supported this argument. So I would like to add under new business, a new item A, discussion of what you just said, Joe, that I made an inappropriate motion. Because it was a legal motion, for a village resident to take a seat on the council.
So make your motion.
Make your motion.
Make your motion.
To add an agenda item?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
What's your agenda on?
I'd like to make a motion to add under new business, item A, discussion and consideration of Joe's accusation that I made an appropriate act by appointing Mary Scoot to the village council.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
No.
No.
And I'll be the tiebreaker and put no, so, okay. Next item?
My turn.
Your turn.
So we actually, that, if you want to wait for consent agenda, then I'll wait for the consent agenda for the department meeting items. Everything else I
Okay.
had is for that section.
Everything else good with you, Robert?
Yeah, if we're talking about consent agenda separately, yes.
Okay. Nick?
I'm fine.
Okay. So I need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up is Pledge of Allegiance.
Never done it before.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next up we have public comment. Anybody sign up? Or no one signed up, so next up we have Thales presentation, Michael Roach. Before Michael starts, full disclosure, I've actually gone to one of your open houses that was up in Ballantyne.
Correct.
And learned a lot about the school, which was very impressive. And I know you guys are just going to present, my understanding is it like the 30,000 level, just idea for an area and for this school and stuff. So that's just to let council know that's what this invitation was for, and we tried to do it a couple months ago, I think, and wasn't able to do that, so we're glad you're here. Thank you for that.
Yeah, my name's Michael Roach. I'm the Director of Construction and Development, or New School Development for Thales Academy. I have with me Dr. Timothy Hall, who's Director of our Academics for Thales, and we actually do have a board member who's a Marvin resident, Judy Nunningkamp, in the audience with us. Tonight, what we'd like to do is just give you some information about Thales Academy, and then Dr. Hall will provide that information, and then I'm just going to spend a little time regarding some property in Marvin that we are looking at to potentially build a school. So we just wanted to present the information to the board. We are going to be working with the town planner and go through the process of zoning and potentially having a school here in Marvin.
Good evening. Good evening. It's good to see everybody, and thank you for allowing us to be here to tell you about Thales Academy. We're excited about the prospect of being in Marvin, and definitely excited about being in Waxhaw. So, just want to give you an overview of what Thales is about and the type of education that we offer to our consumer base that we're working with, and understand our mission. So first off, to know, at Thales we provide what we consider the highest quality education at the most affordable price for our families. So I like to remind people, when we say private education, we're private with a lowercase p. So we're going to be affordable for our families, and so we want to provide that. In addition, we are focused on the whole student, which means that we're focused on developing students to their highest potential from pre-K all the way through to the 12th grade, through our curriculum. Just a brief history. Thales Academy started in 2006 when Mr. Luddy, who's our founder and also the CEO of Captive Air, was asked whether he would be interested in starting a private school because he had already started a public charter school in Wake Forest, North Carolina, one of the largest public charter schools in North Carolina. That charter school, Franklin Academy, was very successful, and people came to him and said, hey, couldn't you do some more? So he thought about and then produced Bailey's Academy in the back of his office. Today, in 2018, we are up to 6 different campuses in the Wake County area, 3,200 students at those campuses. In the past 3 years, we've gained 1,500 students. So our message and our mission of high quality, affordable cost education resonates with a great many people in Wake County. So that's what we're excited about. Our ultimate goal for Thales Academy is to provide our students with the ability to be critical thinkers and leaders. We also want them to be lifelong learners and resourceful individuals. And we definitely want them to develop themselves to their highest potential. We don't want them to see their high school degree, their college degree being the end of their education. We want them to continually educate themselves and focus in on that education. So we set that up to happen. In addition, we also want our students to be focused on giving back to their community in a very pronounced way. So definitely being part of town councils and being part of the community is something we encourage for our students in the future. So here's an example of one of our junior high school hallways. You see very well decorated. We pride ourselves in order and beauty, and you'll see that when you go through all of our campuses. One thing that we, and this is a quote we think about quite often, it's from C.S. Lewis, if anybody remembers him, Chronicles of Narnia. So C.S. Lewis said one time, I've come to the conclusion that if you cannot translate your own thoughts, then your thoughts are confused. Power to translate is the test of having really understood your own meaning. So we take that very seriously. We believe very strongly in our education. We also believe in that classical education that we're offering as well. But if we don't have the power to translate that to the general public, then we're confused. And so we really work on executing that classical education at the highest level and bring innovation to that education as well. So real innovation only occurs with execution at every level. And we mean that. We take carpool very seriously. We do carpool audits. We make sure that that carpool is running well. We make sure that our teachers are developed professionally. We're focused on providing well-engaged families with all the activities of their students. It's important to us. So execution is important. Execution for us is the difference between ideas and output. It's definitely great to have great ideas, but if you can't execute them, then they're nothing. So, why innovate for us is a better option for our families. We can't maintain that high quality, affordable cost without those innovations. And what are those innovations? We have a variety of electronic platforms that we have implemented into our schools, which really allow us to keep our costs low. So, to give you a brief overview of the education, one thing that you'll notice that part of our education, K-5, is direct instruction. Direct instruction is the grammar stage of the classical paradigm. And direct instruction means just that. It is direct instruction. The teacher is directing the instruction in the classroom and facilitating that instruction. Now, before you concern yourself with that, please take a look at our video at thalesacademy.org and watch that direct instruction. Those kids are being instructed by the teacher, singing songs back to the teacher, learning things, memorizing things, and it's very interactive. It keeps all the children engaged. In addition, we have classical curriculum. What does that mean? For grades 6 through 12, we study Western tradition, Western literature. Our students have a good understanding of that. When they get to the Declaration of Independence, they know where Thomas Jefferson got those ideas from the Greeks and the Romans. They understand that exactly. In addition, we have character formation in our schools. We have character education, K-5. In addition, we incorporate that character education, K-12, with the Thales outcomes. And I'll do a broad overview there in a short bit. The other thing that we do work on is non-cognitive skills. You might not be aware of non-cognitive skills in education. Non-cognitive skills are just like what we're saying, soft skills. People that have good interpersonal skills, able to work well with others. It's really important for our students to really develop those non-cognitive skills. We all know that You'd rather work with that person who works hard, works good with the group, than that genius who's really a jerk. We all know that. Technical skills, definitely we're a classical curriculum. Most people think classical curriculum is old and dusty. We're a little bit different. We're focused on technology skills because we recognize technology skills are important for the 21st century. All of our students, grades 6 through 12, have iPads. One-to-one iPad initiative. All of our textbooks are on the iPads. Our students are focused on that iPad as an educational delivery system, not a plaything. And we make sure of that expectation. Another thing that we have is called LIT, the Liddy Institute of Technology. Very different from classical curriculums as well. The Liddy Institute of Technology is our pre-engineering elective for grades 9 through 12. You won't see that in most classical schools. It's definitely set up for people who want to go into the engineering field, who want to get a taste of engineering before they get to college. So I won't go over the details in each of these as we're going through, but just go through them quickly. Here's a little slide on direct instruction. Make sure that you understand that direct instruction is scientifically proven and it works all the time. None of our students go away behind. They all work to mastery. The teacher doesn't move forward until all students in her classroom have mastered the lesson. That's important. So no child is left behind. Classical instruction, of course, one thing different about our classical curriculum is our students do take Latin, grades 6 through 12. They also take a trivium track, which teaches them formal and informal logic, which is great because by the time they get to the senior year and they do their senior thesis paper, they know how to really be able to weigh sources and argue those sources well. I've read through most of those papers over the past few years, and what you notice is those students are writing at the, I wouldn't say it's beyond upper class college, but it's upper class college for sure. They're well ahead of their peers. Character formation, of course, we have the top Thales outcomes in every classroom. Okay, and our teachers reference those as secondary standards in our curriculum and also throughout the school day. Of course, we were talking about non-cognitive skills. Classical education focuses on the whole person. It focuses on human dignity and freedom, and that's important. Of course, here's the Liddy Institute of Technology. We're very proud of this program. We're also expanding this program out to include some computer engineering as well. You can see the iPads. We're definitely dedicated to iPads and Macs. iPads carts in K5, and then 612 iPads one-to-one with all of our students. In addition, we have Apple TVs in all the rooms. Our teachers are taught that they have to model technology skills as well. We do not want teachers to say, oh, I won't use that new device. We want all teachers to embrace the new technology, whatever it may be, and try it. Of course, the results of all this is our student performance is well above the norm. These are our Iowa scores, K7. We're in the yellow compared to the national average. We do quite well at that. We do quite well at Raise Step and the PSAT as well. And even more, we do well at college acceptances. We only have 3 graduating classes right now. Probably, let's see, 35 students total. This is the list of acceptances that they have. Our first 3 students all got into UNC Chapel Hill. So that's Thales Academy at 40,000 feet, and very quickly, but if you have any questions later on, I'll be happy to answer them. And Mike is going to talk about Marvin.
Thank you. So as Dr. Hall mentioned, currently we have 6 campuses. We have, they're all in the Wake County area, 4 K5s schools, and then 2 6-12 schools. Currently we're building 2 K5 schools, one in Holly Springs, North Carolina, just south of Raleigh, and then here in Waxhaw on Newtown Road, about 5 miles from here, we're building a K5 that will be open this September. That's our first school outside of the Wake County area. And with that new school, what we generally do is when we open a K-5 school, we want a 6-12 school to be fairly close so that students can easily transition into the higher classes. So we've looked around the area and we've came across a piece of land on Waxhaw Marvin Road, just south of Stacy Howey Road, that we are under contract with right now. We're working through the engineering. On this site, we would have a K-5 and a junior high school at this location. Our buildings, all of our K-5 buildings are extremely similar to each other. Basically, we've done a design, and each time we build it, we may have some minor improvements that we do to the building, but they are part of our marketing. The brick building, the brick outside, how it's laid out has all been thought through and proven out. This school right here would be most likely our 9th K-5 building that we have built. So the junior high school, it will be probably our 4th junior high school by the time we start building this. Right now we are starting the zoning process with the town of Marvin. We've already reached out to NCDOT to do a traffic study, which is required by all schools to do a traffic study, and the NCDOT looks at our scope and approves our scope. We go out there to get traffic readings, and then we have a traffic engineer, Kinley Horn, who will be doing our study, presenting it to NCDOT, and then NCDOT will either agree with their findings of any kind of road improvements that are required, or they'll come up with their own requirements based on the information. So we're working through this process. We have reached out to Laura to include her in that process too, and as we get further in, we'll keep you guys in the loop on that. We just wanted to get this out to you all to see this, that it's coming down the pipeline. We've built these schools quite a few times now, and we work extremely close with the towns, and in Union County we'd be working close with. We're doing that right now with Newtown Road, and we want your feedback on any questions or concerns you may have, so we can address those up front as we go through this process. At that point, if you have any questions or comments or anything, Dr. Holland, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. I'll leave it open to council. Anyone want to take first couple cues?
I know so little, I'll wait I'll wait for a little bit. I need more general information.
It's an impressive presentation, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I have zero concern about a school like that, for sure, but the only thing I would ask is the study that you have to do, would that tell us, and I'm looking at Laura too,
Sure.
would that tell us if turning lanes were required?
Yes.
I know traffic's always a
Traffic
concern.
impact analysis, right, and DOT is looking at it as well.
So DOT, it looks like they have the room for it, but if DOT necessitated a turn lane,
They would ask for it.
okay, and that would be part of their application.
Yes.
That would be required by, if DOT feels there needs to be a turn lane, they would require us to put those in, and it's a NCDOT road, so we would have to do it in order to get site approval, Union County.
Yeah, again, no concerns about the school itself. We happen to have at the high school and the elementary school a very good traffic coordinator. I'll
Sure.
call him. He's kind of an all-star, and he keeps things moving, but it's not an easy job, for sure.
And one thing, just to let you know, our K-5 school is 450 students. Our junior high school would be 650. So it's 1,100 students on this campus. Their start and stop times would be over a half an hour difference between the two. So most people, at least in the Wake County area, the public schools have thousands of kids in it. We don't. Our schools are much smaller. Your carpool's going to be much less.
Is that full capacity, those
And
numbers?
that's full capacity numbers.
Is there a plan, do you allow room for expansion?
No, what we would do is move to a new location for another K-5 and another junior high school. These buildings have been designed out for those max numbers, and we prefer to keep them within those numbers.
And your traffic impact analysis will include queuing studies as to
Yeah,
how much can be held on site and
all
try to
that,
get them off the main road.
yeah, this will be proven out for capacity and would be required to be built day one to meet the full capacity. So it's not something that we would, once we hit so many students, we'd have to put another lane in. Everything's done day one.
Is it in the R district? Is it going to require rezoning?
Yes, it'd be a rezoning and an associated CUP with that, conditional use permit at the same time, an educational overlay district, for example.
And currently, that lot, if I'm recording the right one, is fully wooded, right?
Correct.
And
yeah.
so, do you plan to completely clear it or in?
It depends on how our engineers lay it out. I mean, we'd love to leave whatever we can, but the main, especially with the traffic, is it has to be laid out safely for traffic to get through the school. So that's the most important thing when our sites are being designed.
Hopefully it can be used as the buffering.
Yeah, oh yeah, and generally, like this area around here, generally is a buffering zone that we're required by Union County to keep, so.
And
Yeah.
But currently it's evergreens, which is nice because you don't really know what's back there other than a bunch of evergreens and
Sure.
Quick question, so Weddington is only K through 5, correct?
Yeah, Waxhaw, it's actually only in Union County, but our mailing address is Waxhaw, but yeah, that's just a K-5 school.
Okay, so that will serve as a feeder then most likely to this one here, because this one holds this
650.
650 plus your 550 there, so that would hold 100, and then you're probably looking to build another. If you max out, then you're out of space over here then.
Yeah, and generally what we do find is the junior high school will basically need 2 K-5s to feed it because people move. It's much harder to get someone into a school in 6th grade or 7th grade or 8th grade. So people move, they decide that their kid's going to be the best basketball player ever, so they're finding the best school that has basketball and that's where they go. So what we've kind of proven out is 2 K-5s feed a junior high school. And we'd also be looking at some other areas to put more K-5s in junior high schools. Generally, we want to come into an area, establish ourselves. As we start to fill up, we try and jump over a little bit. So there may be students that are currently going to the junior high school that we open up another one that's really closer to their house, and it kind of works its way out. We are, again, a nonprofit private school, so we aren't guaranteed students. So we have to react within the market. So as our students start to fill up, then we'll make our second and third moves.
Did you say nonprofit?
We are a nonprofit
So
school.
is it a charter?
No,
No.
it's a private nonprofit school.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'm not sure if Dr. Hall mentioned the price, but for the last 10 years, our K-5's been $5,000. Our junior high school is in the $6,500 range. And it's important to Mr. Luddy, our founder, to keep that price there. Again, our mission is a very high-quality education at an affordable price. So that's a big thing for Mr. Luddy.
And this is the first time I'm hearing
Sure.
another, that's what I don't want to go too far into detail, but I was going to ask, it sounds like this is definitely the site you're zeroing in on. It's not like you're looking at a couple and contemplating.
We like this site a lot. It takes a lot of resources to go through just the engineering. It costs a lot of money. Again, we're a school. We'd rather put money into the students. So we like this site. We're under contract, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have the site. A lot depends on the zoning. If we go through this process and we can't get the zoning, then we're going to have to resell the property, and that's going to probably affect us negatively financially. So it's a big deal for us to reach out to you guys and try and address anything we can through this process.
Something that I talked to you briefly about, and we brought up in previous meetings, is this need for sort of a bullet point list for someone that's buying, whether it's a school or a development or a commercial, that the person comes in eyes wide open. And I know you all have been through it before. Things can get complicated later sometimes. So I'm hoping Laura is communicating with you the realistic, I'll call them hurdles.
I've talked to them about the process.
The process.
And that we certainly can't guarantee
Of course.
rezoning, of course, but that's all.
Because we can all love it, but there is 2 public input meetings
Yeah.
that you'll be subject to. And are those still late in the game or something like this?
I think at least the first one's pretty quickly.
Yes,
I
right
would
away.
hope so, so
Yeah.
that you know
Yeah.
what to expect.
Right.
Okay.
I have to tell you right off the bat, I love the internal circulation routes.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you're talking about schools and making sure that that traffic doesn't spill out onto the surrounding roads, the fact that you've got those circuitous routes on the inside is really, really forward thinking.
Again, this is probably our 9th or 10th site. That we have a couple other school sites that are in development right now that we haven't gone all the way through permitting or in construction yet. So we've done this quite a few times.
You've tested it.
And another thing to let you all know is we find land, we buy the land, we design the layout, and then we run the school. So it's not someone coming in out of state, building a school, and then they leave or sell it or whatever. This is Mr. Letty's mission. He feels very strongly about. So we're involved through the whole process, and we try and keep open communication with the towns that we're in. And many times we'll get phone calls, hey, something's going on, or we're wondering about this or that, and we address it with the towns, and everything's great. So communication is very big for us.
I'll play a little devil's advocate, because you got 1,100 students come in, no buses, that means 1,100 cars. This may be a question for Dr. Hall. Your carpooling, what have you seen? Is it like, because I'm assuming that you're going to be getting pulling kids as far away from Mineral Springs, possibly to, maybe some South Carolina.
Correct.
Homes coming in here. So we're not big fans of red lights.
Sure.
And I know I just went to a meeting with, they were doing some studies on Waxhaw Marvin Road. Nick and I attended that meeting, and that stopped at, I believe, Bonds Grove Church is where that study stopped, and then it goes into nowhere. I mean, there's still traffic going to be coming and stuff. So what is your contingency plan, or can you tell me a little bit more about the carpooling and what you found happens? Is it a 4-to-1, up to 3 kids in a car? How does that end? Because I'm looking at potentially 1,100 cars in that intersection between, say, 8 o'clock and whenever you start school and stuff.
Sure.
And does it affect the high school? Because high school starts, it's along that same road. They're going as early as 7:15. They're driving over there.
So generally, what our traffic, that's part of the traffic study that we do with NCDOT. They have formulas that they require us, so we determine the trips. And a trip is a car coming in is one trip, the car leaving after they drop the kid off is the second trip. That's taken into account when they do when we do the full study. It's not 1,100 cars. It's generally probably closer to 75% of that. And then that will be separated out. Most of our carpools, the afternoon carpools are generally about 15 to 20 minutes long. We're very efficient. Again, we've been doing this for 10 years with Thales, another 20 years with, well, a total of 20 years with Franklin Academy. So we've learned how to effectively and efficiently run carpool. It's going to be addressed with DOT. They'll determine if a light's required. They'll determine what turn lanes are required. Whether they've done this quite a few times, and also with our traffic engineer, Kinley Horn is pretty respected in the area for traffic engineering. So I hope that kind of answered your question. And the 612 and the junior high school will be separated. We also have early drop off. Many parents have to be to work at 7 a.m. or what have you, so they'll drop off their kid at 6:30. Yeah. And then we also look around us, the schools around us, and we'll address, or we'll move our start and stop times depending on what's around us too. We want this to be smooth for our parents and neighbors around. Every neighbor around is a potential customer, so we try and reach out and be good neighbors.
How's your admissions at Weddington going, if you're opening in September?
Yep, so we're opening in September. We're looking, right now, we're really only at about 50 students. Okay. And what we generally see is, since the school is not completely done yet, we ideally would have liked to have the school completed and have 6 months where we could bring people through. We just didn't have time to do it. Schools have to start at a certain time, so it's not like a store you can open whichever month. But so we feel, and what we've seen in other markets is once we have the school built and parents start coming by and seeing it, we think, we would actually feel 50 is a pretty good number for where we're at right now, okay, in a brand new market.
Location.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you talked a little bit about direct instruction. What's your average student per class, per teacher? Is there a number on that?
Yeah, so that's part of the high quality, affordable cost is we maximize classroom spaces. So your average classroom size would be about 25 students to a teacher. But those are ability groups, so the teacher is teaching the people in front of them at all times.
So are they blended grades?
Sometimes.
The students do, I actually have 3 kids in Thales, a pre-K, a first grade and second grader. Kindergarten, they switch classes. Yeah. So it's not that you're all sitting in the same room like I did all day long. So they will change classes, and as some kids pick up things quicker than others, and they may be, they're constantly checked and assessed, and they may move up or move to different levels for maybe reading but not math. So
very cool.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys allowing us to come here, and we're looking forward to doing more with you, and would like to grow in this area.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, next up we have NCDOT U-5769 widening of NC 16 Providence Road from Ray Road to Waxhaw Parkway. There's Sean Epperson.
Feel like we just saw you, huh?
Too long ago. Again, my name is Sean Epperson. I work with NCDOT. I'm the division project team lead. I've got Carl Giuliaro and Travis Pressler with me. Travis Presley is actually the project manager for this project, so he'll be your prime point of contact through this process. The main reason why he's not presenting today is he got the lucky duty of going to a different office for 3 months to fill in for somebody on maternity leave, and then went on vacation for 2 weeks, so he's only back for a couple weeks, so I'm more familiar with this right now than he is, but he's getting up to speed. So I'm here to talk to you about U 5769, which is the widening of NC 16 from Ray Road to Waxhaw Park.
Hit the arrows. Just move the arrows.
Okay. So again, widening of NC 16 between Ray Road and Waxhaw Parkway. We're projecting to go to right-of-way in fiscal year 2021 with construction in fiscal year 2023. So when we were starting this process, we decided there would be 2 alternatives that we'd look at from a traffic analysis standpoint. Alternative 1, which is conventional widening, which is your standard full movement intersections, and then super street widening, which is your unconventional, not your full movement intersections. I'll show you some examples of those in a minute. So because super streets are different, we're going to start with some benefits of those and why we look at them. So one of the main things from a safety standpoint is the reduction in conflict points. So a standard full movement intersection, shown right here, has got 32 different conflict points. Those are a point in which 2 different vehicles could potentially come into a crash. And then the super street intersection is 14 conflict points. So just some crash studies that the FHWA did. You're looking at the crash reductions anywhere from 44% to 85%, with injury crashes anywhere, again, 40% up to 88%. So they do have a benefit of significantly reducing the number of crashes that occur on our roadways.
Is it the same logic with roundabouts?
Yes. Yeah, just like I said, fewer conflict points. They don't have the lower speeds like roundabouts do. You're typically looking at the same speed limit on a conventional super street. So you don't have that reduction in type of injury crashes when they occur. You just have less likely to happen because there's less conflict points. But the speed limit, if the speed limit's 45 on a conventional intersection, it's 45 on a super street intersection.
And the fewer conflict points, the less likely these injuries would be fatalities.
Correct. So from a signal operation standpoint, at a standard full movement intersection, your side streets can go through and left, your main line can go through and left. So you end up with a potential for an 8-phase traffic signal. In a super street configuration, what you've got, so as you can see, the side streets cannot go straight across the intersection or turn left, which is where you get your reduction in the conflict points. So you've got this left turn movement here, which stops this direction of travel, but it does not affect this direction of travel. And then this left turn movement that stops this direction of travel. So you end up with 2-phase traffic signals. So instead of an 8-phase signal, when you come up there, you might have to wait for all the different movements to go through their green before you come back. You're only waiting on one other direction of travel to go. So your signal goes back and forth between green and red, very snappy. So you're able to get through the intersection quicker. So this traffic makes a right, comes up here and make a U-turn. Yes, they travel a little further, but because instead of waiting here through what could be 120, 150, 180 seconds of red if you show up at the wrong time, typically on super street intersections, we're looking at anywhere from 60, 80, 90, maybe on the high side, 100, 110 seconds of cycle lane. So you're able to make that, or plus you can turn right on red. But even if you need to wait for the green peak hour, you might need to. You're waiting half, maybe 2/3 of the time, maybe less, to make that right. And you coordinate the signal, so when you make that right on green, you get here, you keep it on.
So, if say I'm heading south, say that's going south,
Yep.
and I want to get to a business on the other side, but there's no turning lane in for it. So you're basically saying, if I'm number 3 heading down towards 4, I make a right-hand turn on 4, and then I loop around to come back to, how do I get over to the left side on this super street?
Okay, so where are you trying to get to? I guess?
I'm 3, and I'm trying to get just to the left of 1, or
Okay.
somewhere along 1 there.
Okay, so you can still turn left off the main line.
Okay.
So if you're coming down.
But all those businesses along that strip there, how did I get?
On this side?
Yeah.
So, okay, so if they have an access off a side street, you would just turn left here.
If they don't have an access.
So then you would come down to the U-turn and come back to it. Now, let's say there's a business right here. Whether this was super street or conventional, this median's going to be here, so you wouldn't be able to turn left into this business. Difference is with a super street, you got to come down, make a U-turn. At a full movement, yeah, you can make a U-turn here, but at the same time, that person's turning left, or you're trying to make a U-turn here, there's people turning right off of there.
It's similar to like what we're looking on 74 and around just north of Matthews area.
Yeah, Indian Trail?
Yeah.
It's what, those are under construction today, yeah.
Okay.
So does that answer?
Yeah, I think so.
So, you know, it's like I said, a conventional intersection, you can make a U-turn, but you're competing against the traffic turning right. We don't want that to happen here because we're forcing everybody to turn right, but you've got a dedicated place to make a U-turn. When that light gives you a green, there's no conflict. You make the U-turn and go.
And how, I mean, that can vary depending on how many of those locations you have for U-turns. You may have to go half mile down the road.
Correct, we try not to space them out that far. So at a main intersection like this, so for example, Newtown, we would, or any major intersection in Newtown, we would ideally place these U-turn points usually somewhere between 600 and 800 foot on the high side, 1,000 foot away.
Okay.
So we try not to force people to drive a half mile to a mile to make a U-turn.
Right.
At a major intersection, like I said, 600 to 800,000 foot, it's minor movements. We might try and place, it might be a little further than that to try and accommodate multiple driveways with one U-turn point. But yeah, we're not looking at a half mile.
And you acquiring the same amount of land either way you go?
Very similar, yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of times the main intersection's smaller because you don't have as many lanes. But then we got a little more land maybe for the U-turn points. So like this side street, in this case, you've got 2 on and 2 off, 4 lanes. If this was a full movement intersection, you might have 2 lefts, a through, and a right. So you've already got 2 lanes. So a lot of times the side streets, smaller footprint, a little bigger footprint where that U-turn.
So if I'm number 4 right there, can I make a left and get up there to 1?
No.
You can't.
So if you're coming off the side street, you turn right, make a U-turn, and come back.
Sean, I'm kind of
Scared.
I think I'm catching up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm looking at these portions, these charts that you have here. Does that mean that NC 16 in Newtown is scheduled to be a super street as well?
Yes.
With the same configuration, or they're different?
No, different.
Okay.
But yeah. So I mentioned the one-way progression because each left turn and U-turn only has to stop one direction on the main line. You can progress each side of 16 like it's a one-way system. So you can get this progression going all the way through. You just got to ensure this guy's green, then green, green, green. You don't have to worry about coordinating both directions at the same time because each signal only operates northbound or southbound traffic. Okay, pedestrians, this is how we would accommodate pedestrians in a standard super street. The main intersection, we travel through the middle. The good thing about the U-turn points is they allow us to actually cross pedestrians at the U-turn location. Because that's a signalized intersection, you have a pedestrian crossing at the main intersection, another pedestrian crossing 600, 800, high side 1,000 foot away on each side. So instead of having just crossings at the main intersection, you end up with 3 different crossings, spaced a little way up and down the corridor. Just another example of how that would work with the U-turn bulbs. The U-turn bulbs are back to back, straight across. There's a little bit of separation. So just want to give some examples of where super streets have been done in North Carolina. This is Leland, North Carolina. So one of the first ones ever implemented. It's a US 17, highly commercialized area. NC 55 in Holly Point, another highly commercialized area with a lot of residential as well. I like this one because a lot of people, when they hear super streets, they say not developer friendly. This went in, and there's still somebody developing all that land. So it's not prohibiting them from wanting to come into this location.
And you brought up a good point. We've got a project on that corner that's hopefully starting soon, Publix.
Yeah.
Is this going to hurt them in a negative way? Or hurt them in a negative way?
They're not going to like it. I mean, like I said, honestly, most developers don't like it. But when they first hear about this, developers want that full movement. They want, whether it's you have to sit there for 5 minutes to get in or out, they feel that full movement is better for them. But in reality, what our experience shows is if traffic flows through the area, traffic goes to the area. If traffic goes to the area, they're going to go shopping there. I mean, if you have to wait 3 minutes to get out of that Publix or 2 minutes to get out of Publix and then stop at every signal down the road, are you going to stop at that Publix on your way home? But no.
I only posed the question when I saw this picture, and obviously I posed it very well with my double negative. But yeah.
You're actually talking about something, the last slide you were looking at?
Mhm.
Maybe one more. Maybe one more. Sorry. We're looking at pedestrian walkways, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to imagine when you've got commercial on all those four corners, the way that's configured, it almost looks like there's easier access for pedestrians and businesses on some corners versus others.
Well, this was just showing how they get across the main line. There'd be a pedestrian crossing.
There still would be?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. This
All
was
right.
just to highlight how you get across the main line.
Got it,
But
all
you'd
right.
still be able to cross the side street.
Is
So
this,
I'll add that for next time.
are we sort of looking at, I don't mean to slow you down.
No, you're
Are we-
fine.
This is.
Yeah, so that's
this way,
485 and
And
that's.
that's Waxaw.
Yes.
And Publix is here.
Yeah.
Okay, they've been through hell, so I just don't.
So, yeah, that Publix has got an access point off of Newtown, so imagine this is Newtown, so traffic will still be able to turn left and into there.
Okay.
Traffic will now be able to also come down, make a U-turn, and turn right back into them.
Are they allowed to,
How do they get out?
is Publix allowed to have an entrance here?
Entrance, yes, egress, no.
Oh.
You'll have to explain the difference.
Okay, so, because this is a two-phase signal, traffic making a U-turn and traffic turning left in is the same movement. Allowing traffic to come out conflicts with either the U-turn or the through movement. So we allow traffic to go in, but not come back out.
They'd have to come out the other
So
side.
they have to come out and make a U-turn way up there to go back down south on it.
Correct.
Is this the model we're looking at that intersection?
No.
It is?
No.
No, okay.
Oh,
Just don't want to get
So-
too far ahead.
Yeah. So we originally were looking at the two options, the conventional and the standard super street. So I was going through it. So 24, 27 in Locust, a little closer by. Walmart, you can't see it, there's a bunch of residential up there. Signalized super street, unsignalized super street. Super streets don't have to be signalized, but they, depending on the volumes, they will or won't be. So then you mentioned the one in Indian Trail. So this is just, it's under construction, so I don't have an aerial picture. But here's just some plan sheets, but it's that same configuration. It's a standard super street. The side streets all turn right and then make a U-turn.
Is this the group, the municipality that, it ended up in the news, they fought it. And it was, did they not fight this super street? Or
No.
which municipality fought it?
This one's in Indian Trail. Indian Trail is fighting the one on Old Monroe Road. They did not fight this
And
one.
what is the reasoning for their argument? I mean, they obviously have an argument, I know.
Yeah, a lot of people feel they're not developer friendly. The word super street is probably a bad term for it. People view it as a super highway, but we're gonna have the same posted speed whether it's conventional or super street. So you're looking at in this case, a 45-mile-per-hour roadway either way. A lot of the complaints that I've heard, that's a centrally managed project, so unfortunately I'm not as plugged into it as some of our other ones, but a lot of people I've heard complain about, they don't like the fact that they're gonna have to turn right out of their driveway. But whether it's conventional or super street, there's gonna be a median out there.
And the portion in Matthews that was so contested was very residential in nature as it gets down to the downtown Matthews.
Yeah.
It's much more residential than McProvidence is.
So, I mean, like I said, some of the biggest complaints we hear is speeds. Speed limit's gonna be set either way. When we do that one-way progression, we set that progression based on the speed limit. So if you're doing 45 miles an hour, you should get each signal on green. If you're doing 60, you're gonna get there early and stop. Doesn't do you any good. Not to say people aren't gonna do it, some people are impatient, but it's not gonna help you.
Are these less expensive to,
It's about the same. Yeah. I don't know if we've done any comprehensive studies, but from a pure asphalt standpoint, there's not a huge difference. Okay, so 2040, some of our no build results, highlighting Newtown Road. We're looking at a level of service F, which is over 80 seconds of average delay. Okay, so conventional Newtown, we're looking at level of service D, 40.6 seconds of delay. So Super Street, got level of service B at Newtown with around 20 seconds of delay. Each one of the U-turn points, level service B or level service C, with 22 and 20 seconds of delay. When it's B, it's actually 11 and 15 seconds of delay. So the conventional intersection operates well at a D with 40 seconds of delay. But the Super Street operates at a level service B when you're talking down to 11 to 20 seconds of delay. So that's what I'm saying, that's what I get, yes, you gotta travel further to go back and make the U-turn, but if you're only waiting at each intersection for 11, 15 seconds, you still overall get through the corridor quicker.
You're trying to make sure that the traffic moving at least in one direction is smoother than stopping and going and cutting off.
So this is just some of that same information in a diagram form.
So how long, maybe that already answers my question, but how many cars get through? I mean, how long does that light stay on?
That's just gonna depend on the volume at that time of day. I mean, they'll set that, when it first opens up, and they'll adjust it over time every couple of years.
Because we have our share of lights that churn quickly,
Yeah,
but let 3 cars through.
yeah. And that's, here you're gonna have 2 through lanes, adequate turn lanes. So, if you're running, say you're running on the short side of 70, 80 seconds cycle length, you're probably ballparking, probably looking around 40, 50 on the main line and 30 or so on the side streets. Typically what you're gonna see, something in some of that area. And what you can do is, because each side operates independently, in the morning when everybody's going northbound, maybe you run a longer cycle length of 100 seconds. But in the southbound direction, because they operate independently, you can run something short like 60 seconds.
And you often just tweak those as everybody's coming.
Yep. So travel times along the corridor, in a conventional, in AM northbound, 13.6 minutes, 13.1 minutes in Super Street, southbound 13.2 and 11.2, 12 and 12 and 13 and 13. So this, the bottom part, okay, so you're looking at, about a minute to 2 minutes, depending on the direction of travel, better travel time. Okay, average delay at each intersection. So Newtown Road in alternative one is 41.42 seconds. Its average delay per vehicle in the Super Street is 34. We converted that to total hours. So 475 in the conventional and 416. So that just gives you an idea of how much travel time savings you're going to see to the overall public travel through that area. So crash reduction, total crashes, 585. We're looking at potential of 312 reduction with the Super Street, 61 fatal injury, 251 just property damage only.
That's over 5 years.
Yeah. Okay, so we met with staff back on May 16th. Some of the concerns specifically for the Newtown intersection, these are concerns for the whole corridor, but specific to the Newtown intersection, was the forecast volumes to a lot of people seemed low. So we agreed that they seemed low. At how much low is up for debate. So they asked us to go back and look at a couple things. We looked at a 50% increase in those forecast volumes and a 100% increase in those forecast volumes. And because Newtown Road is one of the few east-west connectors through the area, they asked us to look at a Michigan left style Super Street, which I'll get to in a second. But that, in conjunction with those 50% increase in volumes and 100% increase in volumes. So we talked about the standard layout of a Super Street. You've got main line, left, through and right, side street, all traffic turns right and makes a U-turn. In the Michigan left style Super Street, the side street traffic can now go straight across, but the main line traffic cannot turn left. So while we added a phase for the through movement, because we reduced the left turn phase, or eliminated left turn phase, we're still down to a 2-phase signal. So it's still a snappy signal, it's just different phases. So the reason we're asked to look at that again, because Newtown Road is one of the few east-west connectors through the area, the idea was the traffic wanting to get east-west, to not have them have to make the right and make a U-turn. So we looked at this option. So this is 16th grade, so 16 in Newtown. In the standard configuration with the existing volumes, we were looking at level service B and C, and then Michigan left and B. So it's about the same. With a 50% increase in volume, we're looking at a B and D. So the standard Super Street started to get worse. Michigan left, C and C. So Michigan left was a little better. But once you got to 100% increase in volumes, the standard configuration was a B and an F. and then Michigan was a D. So in our mind, Michigan made more sense. It's desirable to have that east-west connectivity, the through movement. If the forecast is even, people say the forecast is 100% right, they both work the same. But if the forecast is wrong, or there's a lot more development in this area than anybody's anticipating, Michigan left starts becoming the better option. So based on that, we're moving forward with the Michigan left option. Like I said, it allows that east-west connectivity, but if the forecast is wrong, or a lot more development comes to the area than anybody's anticipating, it allows the intersection to work longer.
Can we see that picture here?
So in this scenario, this doesn't change for this Publix. Here, they can still potentially come in, but they still have to egress out this side.
Well, I think they had it's been a while since I've seen that development, but I thought they had an access point somewhere.
They do. Yeah, they've got one.
Okay, so there can be access points in between this U-turn point and the main intersection. They're right in, right out, but they would be in any type of intersection treatment, because we're gonna have a meeting on 16. So if they wanted an access point here, so they could come in here and come out right back here.
No, they can't come out there unless they're going north.
Correct, they would have to go north. yes.
Most of the population is to the south.
So for
But they're gonna have to, but again, there's gonna be a meeting on 16 either way, so
I know we were
Yeah.
counting on the other one, remember? Up north on Newtown Road, I mean, out to the east on Newtown Road. We had a full cut up there. Is that gonna be effective?
no.
Oh, yay.
No.
Hallelujah.
So the Weddington Chase people, that's a little further south than the U-turn, and they won't, will they still have the ability to make a left out of there? Probably not, right?
probably not now. 'Cause like I
So
said,
they're gonna be asked to go up to the red light and make a U-turn to head south on.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to picture too, is, because not proportional. Right now, there was a talk about full light, right, a full round.
We
full
approved
portion.
one there until this project came along.
And sorry, what was that?
We approved one at that location until this project came along. That was one of the contingency on that.
So you approved a light at Weddington Chase?
Yes.
Until this came along?
Yeah.
So
Well,
now-
and more for Marvin Gardens development. There was a full movement light, right, at that one. There were two entrances off of Providence, and one of them was right in, right out, I think.
Sounds right, yeah, it's been
And
a
then
little
the
while.
other one was a full
Correct.
movement light.
But that signal was
And so that was until this.
until this project came through. And we would still allow it until this project came through. I mean, but
So back to, you talked to Weddington. I think I know where the mayor is. I talked to her a little bit about it at one of the last meetings we held. Well, what's Waxhaw thinking? And
so at Kensington Cuthbertson, we had the same scenario. We initially looked at a conventional, that standard super street where you allow lefts off the main line but not the through movement. So this configuration. Same thing, they asked us to look at the Michigan left. So we look at it, and it was a wash. I mean, in the AM, this option looked better, in the PM, this were better, or vice versa, but it was one letter grade difference. They were all acceptable. So their council voted 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, I don't remember exactly when, to pick the Michigan left. So from our standpoint, they both worked the same, even with those, we didn't do an increase in volume, everybody was agreeable with the forecast there. So they worked the same to us, so we deferred to them. In this case, had the two come back up in the air, we would be asking y'all what your preference was. And technically, if you would rather see the conventional, we could go back to it. But in our thoughts, because the forecast shows the Michigan working better with even a 50% increase in volume, or plus 100%, and kind of being an up in the air wash, if the volume stayed the same as the forecast, we thought this made most sense.
I don't know if I should ask. The next question might be precarious. Have you spoken to the applicants in that area?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
We are working on public hearing tile maps now, and we'll be having a public meeting. Travis, do you know when?
I don't know exactly when.
I was thinking it was fall, but I don't remember. It might be winter, but yeah.
It'll be towards the, later.
Probably late fall if we have it, yeah.
Very late.
So, no, it'll be coming.
Sean, could you repeat the dates that you had started your conversation? I didn't write it down. right away is fiscal year 2021 and construction is fiscal year 2023.
You got all your funding?
Excuse me?
I thought obviously you got all your funding.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
But it sounds like the other side of Newtown is not going to be an issue for them. It's just this.
We're just having, yeah, we're not, our project's not gonna go far enough in Newtown to touch that other access point. Or even if we did, we wouldn't change it. But I don't anticipate it going.
What do you need the council to do?
Nothing, we're here to kind of present to y'all, make y'all aware of anything, answer your questions. If you do have any concerns, let us know. If you don't want the Michigan left off Super Street at Newtown, we can go back to the other one, but like I said, from a volume standpoint, we think it makes the most sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna entertain a question from the thing because I'm still, myself, I'm not sure, I'm not even sure what the right questions to ask, and I certainly want to be talking to the applicant who's going to be going there because as they got approval and they're looking to come in and build, we want to make them succeed. We want to make sure that the neighborhood just south of them is going to be happy with that. We haven't heard anything, but what I'm hearing, and not to sound, crass about this, but it's you're going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct, yeah, I mean, we're gonna put in a 4-lane divided roadway, so a
Right.
lot of these
So
locations.
it's either Super Street or Super Street.
Well, correct.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I mean,
I know there are other
if we did-
municipalities fought it,
Correct.
and there have been issues because of development, and that's why I thought they fought it, because if it's not convenient, are you gonna go there? If it's not convenient to get there, but I've gotta get my head wrapped
But
around.
it's something to keep in mind is a lot of the access points are gonna be restricted movements, no matter what type of configuration, because we're gonna put a median on 16. So, a lot of the access points that are becoming right in, right out, and stuff like that, are gonna become right in, right out, no matter which option, even if we were to go conventional, they're gonna be restricted access movements. So a lot of that doesn't change. The only difference between Super Street and conventional is we provide specific locations to make U-turns. In a conventional intersection, yeah, you can make a U-turn at an intersection, but you're competing against all those other movements. You're making a U-turn at the same time traffic's making a right turn off the side street. At these U-turn bulbs, when you give the green to make a U-turn, you're the only one going. So you're able to go without having to still dodge some traffic turning right off the side street.
If you want to see like an example, like you're worried about development, if you look at the example in Leland that you was talking about on US 17, there's about probably 1,000, 1,500 home development right there in the middle. That whole corridor is about a mile south of where the Walmart is, and they're continuing to build, and all the other stores are. You go to that Walmart and that shopping center there, parking lot's always full, so people are getting where they want to go, and the neighborhood on the southern end of the corridor, they don't seem to be having any trouble selling houses in that area. So it's people who live in that quarter. My parents actually live in the quarter, and they complained when they first moved there. This is the dumbest thing in the world. After about 6 months, my mom stopped complaining to me about it. And what happened? Well, I actually like it. It does help me get through. I don't have to wait as long to make a left.
Right.
You don't see, like Sean was saying, the crash reduction. You don't see as much of those conflicts.
Well, I know it's a concern for the 55 age restricted just south of there that we put in, and what was gonna go in there and how they were gonna negotiate going north or south and stuff, but it sounds like that.
Mr. Mayor, is there any way I could ask a question?
Because I don't know all the questions asked, absolutely, so I'll entertain and.
A question, yeah, I'm particularly concerned about people trying to travel southbound, exiting the Publix development. It appears with either of the scenarios you proposed, people are actually going to have to exit, head north, then make a U-turn to head south. It's going to be a lengthy process to exit. Have you guys looked at the option or ever seen the option of having a full traditional signal at certain locations on super streets, like at this intersection?
It can happen. We haven't looked at this specific location. The problem is where that particular full movement intersection was proposed until this project came along is in very close proximity to where that U-turn was going to be, so it wouldn't work.
No, I'm sorry, I apologize. I was talking about a traffic signal at Newtown and Providence. So
yeah, so we did look at it, and it was going to operate at
with a super street, or
So it was gonna operate at a level of service D, yeah, D and D, with around 40-45 seconds of average delay.
And that's with the 50% or 100%? Or
That's
just as is?
correct. That's as is.
As is.
If you were to look at a 50% or 100% increase, that would go up. We actually did not look at that.
Is that with the 4 lane?
Yes, this is assuming that 16 is 4-lane divided roadway.
And one quick follow-up question, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're actually, obviously I'm talking specific movements, but if you're someone that's trying to exit the shopping center and go south, you're gonna have to add up a bunch of different delays in order to get how long it's gonna truly take you to go south versus a traditional signal, right? I mean, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
So it would take you significantly longer if, in the situation, if you were heading south.
So let's say you exit onto, so you make a right, you're right in, right out. At the main intersection, you're looking at about 20 seconds, and then the U-turn bulb, 20 seconds. So about 40 seconds, in theory.
So it's about the same, but
It's about the same, but
the thing that I guess is
but you got the
missed.
safety benefit.
Yeah, you got to say, I think the thing that's missed, so that for the folks, looks like if you add the delay, then the trip is about the same, right? But for all the people who are not going to Publix, just traveling through or doing whatever, with a conventional intersection, it would add delay to their trip as well. So.
Absolutely.
So we are avoiding, because people get clever when they have streets like this, especially when they have to go north to go south and stuff. I'm hoping we're avoiding people making a right onto Newtown Road, cutting through Weddington Chase to get, I don't know if it'd be quicker that way or if there's a different route. I'm just trying to think of, are we avoiding cut-throughs through neighborhoods when we put in these super streets in general, or with that? Because I'm trying to think how they come out. You have is it egress where you're coming out, or?
Yes. Correct.
Okay, so you have an egress on that would be east side, southeast side, egress coming out from the store, and then you'll make a U-turn at Newtown or beyond Newtown?
So
It's in
So
beyond
let's say if
Newtown.
you come out of the public,
Yeah.
you come out of the public here, you make
Yeah.
a right, make a U-turn. and come back.
Okay, so there's no advantage of coming through. I'm wondering, because there's not going to be a left-hand turn.
Correct, yeah, it wouldn't be easy to come out.
Joe, can I ask my question?
Yeah, I'll allow it just because this is unique and we have things, so go ahead.
Appreciate it. Very simple question. I'm assuming going north on your picture is Newtown heading east, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Making a right turn south on Providence, what's the distance between the right-hand turn point and getting over to the U-turn lane?
So that distance.
No, making a
From
right.
south?
If you're heading this way and you're making a right heading south, yeah, that distance, you said 600 to 800
Usually
feet?
600 to 800 foot is what we're looking at. We just got a preliminary design on this like a few days ago. I unfortunately didn't bring it with me, I can tell you exactly, but I can get that back to you.
And it's a 2-lane and a third for the U-turn lane.
You gotta get over fairly quick.
Right, that's my point.
But
There should be any traffic.
It depends on whether you turn right on red or right on green. If you turn right on green, there's nobody conflicting when you go straight
Yeah.
up.
Oh, because it'll be
This is a signalized intersection, yes.
So it'll be two, okay.
Yeah, so you could turn right on red, but if your goal is to get over here and there's a lot of traffic coming, I wouldn't recommend it. Depends what traffic volumes are like at that particular time.
Okay.
But if you go on green,
Oh, right, okay, never mind, signalize, I got it.
yeah.
I appreciate it.
So like signatures don't have to be, Michigan lefts are always super.
Where it
pretty much always
becomes,
signalized, but
where I think-
Newtown's gonna be signalized.
Yeah, where I think it becomes difficult or challenging for the public stores, if you're coming home from work from 485 and you're wanting to get over there, then you're just gonna have to understand that you're gonna get there, but then getting out, you're gonna have to go a little bit north and then come back around south, is what's gonna happen.
But again, because you've got 2-phase signals instead of an 8-phase signal, you may still get through, during peak hours, you're still gonna get through it quicker.
Yeah,
Because each signal, it's red or green for you. I mean, you're not waiting for, it's not like you're here, you say you're wanting to go straight across, you're not waiting for that, for the through movement, the left, this through, then this left. It's either green or red.
Okay.
I may be focused on it, this all sounds good. But in terms of Weddington Chase and Publix, where this was that proposed light you were talking about.
Mhm.
I don't know what the distance is from here to here, and it's not my place to, I'm not the applicant here.
Yeah.
But if there were enough distance, could a light be here that would help, if Publix were willing or wanted to move this entrance down here, and the two property owners, the HOA and Publix, were able to come to terms? If there's enough distance, can they get a light?
Full movement?
Full movement? No? Okay. My concern, you're gonna build it either way, but my concern is these folks and this entrance for Publix. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Everything else sounds great. But it is what it is.
Let us get the preliminary design, and once we've got it, I mean, once we've got it to the point where we're happy with it, I'll share it with you on the office.
Yeah, I think it's hard to see without
It is.
portions of distances, because, you know, I don't know why we know, so I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but that plan also had challenges, because it did have a full light, but every other access was restricted in movement. And so you've got a lot more control for, you're letting a lot more traffic travel down those roads. Chances are you might actually end up saving time in the long run.
With the super street?
Yeah.
Because it's a shorter phase, it really does. I mean, yes, you're traveling a little bit further, but you're not waiting what could be 2 or 3 minutes at each light.
So it doesn't look like you're asking us to take action, just more information, so the next time you get updated, we'll go for that, so, okay. Thank you, Sean, appreciate it. And I'm gonna call for a quick recess, bathroom break. Yeah, I'll be right behind you.